Grayskull.
Point Break or Bad Boys 2?
Which one do you think I prefer?
No, I mean, which one do you want to watch first?
You are pulling my leg.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
You're a fucking miserable drunk. You fucking remembering your fucking lines. I practiced them and now I don't look like I goddamn practiced them. You're sitting there like a fucking baboon. I hate fucking whiskey, sir. I couldn't stop at fucking 3 or 4, right? Why?
I ask you, to what end? Dread it? Run from it? Destiny arrives all the same. And now it's here. Or should I say, I am.
Oh my God!
Okay, wait.
This is not looking good, Pam.
Michael, do you need me to call an ambulance?
No, I want you to pick me up.
Okay, wait a sec. I thought you said that you were hurt.
I am hurt. I hurt my foot.
Pam.
I want to come to work, but I need you to come and pick me up.
Oh, God!
Hey, whoa, Michael.
Oh, God!
It's okay. It's Jim. Just say again really loudly what happened.
Okay, I burned my foot very badly on my Foreman grill, and I now need someone to come and bring me into work.
You burned your foot on a Foreman grill.
I enjoy having breakfast in bed. I like waking up to the smell of bacon. Sue me. And since I don't have a butler, I have to do it myself. So, most nights before I go to bed, I will lay 6 strips of bacon out on my George Foreman grill. Then I go to sleep. When I wake up, I plug in the grill. I go back to sleep again. Then I wake up to the smell of crackling bacon. It is delicious. It's good for me. It's a perfect way to start the day. Today, I got up, I stepped onto the grill, and it clamped down on my foot. That's it. I don't see what's so hard to believe about that.
Welcome to the Backroom Podcast. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe.
Yo, what is going on, good peeps? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to the Backroom Podcast. Hope you guys having a good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever I decide to upload this, but it'll be at one time during the day. I can assure you that. But guys, it's Halloween, it's spooky season, it's Spooktober, whatever you like to call it, and you know what that means? That means fucking horror movies. And so, why don't we just sit here? I got a few of my buddies. Sit back, relax, sit by the fire, cozy on up, have some cocoa, and let's dream and rank some Nightmare on Elm Street films. And we're also including the reboot and Freddy versus Jason. But before we go into the ranking from worst to best, got to introduce everyone. What is going on, Loretto?
Good evening, sir. Minus some technical difficulties, I'm having a lovely Monday evening. I got a nice can of Day Shoots, my favorite brew, and I'm ready to talk some Freddy Krueger, who, in my opinion, is the greatest, most iconic horror villain of all time.
Damn. Okay, what about you, Gabe? What is going on, my man?
What's up? Happy to be here. I recently, meaning like last week, finished a rewatch or first time watch of all these movies. So I'm really excited to talk about them, rank them. There's so much to discuss here, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I don't know what happened to Daniel, but we're just chilling. But yeah, I recently just rewatched all of these for the first time in a while for some of these movies. And it was weird going back to them and see how some of them are dated and how some of them are just so bad but so good at the same time. But yeah, I don't know where Daniel went, but I guess we just get right into it. Let's just go with our number 10 pick. I'm just going to go straight and hot. I feel like most people won't agree with me, but I'm going to go with Freddy's Dead. I think it's the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie of all time. I was going to say Friday the 13th. For some reason today, I've just been having this Friday the 13th thought in the back of my fucking head, and I got no clue why. But you know what I got to say to that? Freddy's Dead is just such an awful movie, especially for a finale of a franchise that wanted to end. And I'm pretty sure this was the last one before Freddy versus Jason. So this was like the Dunzo moment for the franchise. Poor characters and a really, really shitty video game death scene that made no sense. and really bland and boring acting, when I think the rest of these movies just have some good, at least over the top acting at the very best. But let's just get right into it. What about you, Gabe? What is your number 8 or 10 pick?
I agree. The worst one is Freddy's Dead. It's actually the 6th one, and there's one after the 7th one. And
New
then it's
Nightmare.
Freddy
That's right,
versus,
New
versus
Nightmare.
Jason. Yeah, it's. I don't think I'd seen it. I'd seen parts of it, and recently when I watched it, they completely changed the tone, because the especially like 3 to 5 were kind of like sort of gothic horror, kind of like crazy dream sequence stuff, but like kind of funny, but at the same time still like pretty serious. And with this one, they were like fuck it, let's just make this a comedy. The deaths don't make any sense. The characters just like, they completely drop the characters that, you know, Alice and etc. that you had gone to know of the other movies. Just like introduce a whole bunch of barely even characters, and they say Freddy has a daughter played by Billy Zane's sister. But it's a very, very bad movie. I besides the Johnny Depp cameo,
Which
I
is
don't
great.
think the cameo is fantastic. But besides that, I don't think there's any redeeming qualities in that movie.
No, yeah, absolutely 100% agree. Billy Zane's sister was so flat and wooden too. Like, she couldn't even emote if she tried, I felt like. And it's just like, this is the person you chose to make your main lead. But what about you, Loretto? What is your number 10 worst nightmare film?
Am I counting wrong, or do I have 9 films here?
It might be 9. I could be doing the math wrong. This.
Okay, just checking. But
Could
I
just
actually
be
got my
me.
list right here, and believe it or not, like, Freddy's Dead is pretty bad. I'm gonna get to that with my next number, but but regardless of that, I gotta say I actually dislike the remake more. It was so uninspired and reliant on a jump scare that requires the volume to be on like 5,000 when the dialogue is at like a 3. It was very poorly edited. Didn't care for. I mean, Rooney Mara is great. I mean, I know she's great in other work, but not in this film. Um, the only saving feature is Jackie Earl Haley. If that's, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
He's awesome. When I heard he was cast, I was really excited for his potential as Freddy, but ultimately the CG work on his face with no nose, and some of the choices they did with him being more of like a molester versus a child murderer, which is, interestingly enough, Wes Craven's original treatment was child molester, but he changed it to child murderer because it played off better to audiences. And it just came off way more creepy than it needed to be. I think Freddy was scary enough as a child murderer versus a molester. And I just didn't care for the remake at all. It didn't bring anything new to the table. It rehashed scenes that were done so well in the first film that seeing them redone and not done well, especially the CG when he comes through the wall.
Oh yeah, doing the like the OG scene from
It
the
looks
original. Yeah.
so bad. Like, how did the film in 1984 do that wall scene way better than 2010 or whatever the hell this was? So it just it was a disservice to the character. And as a fan of Freddy, I was very disappointed. As much as I like Jackie Earle Haley, that's my least favorite Freddy film right there, man.
Also, can we talk about the cast in that? I don't
There
think
is
it's the worst.
I was
I
gonna
didn't
say
like
there
it
is
either.
9 movies, by the way. I just counted. I've been saying 10. It's 9. You're good, Loretto. Sorry. Just wanted to say that before I confused anyone else.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I don't think it's the worst one. I think there's 2 that are worse than the remake, but I do think the remake, low, you hit it. It's all jump scare after jump scare after jump scare, and that's how they get your attention with just like such weak characters. Like you get like the CW, you know, has-beens of the era, plus Rooney Mara, like the guy who plays the boyfriend, love interest
Kyle
guy,
Chandler or something, or no, not Kyle Chandler. What's his name?
Kyle
Kyle something.
Gallner, something like that.
Gallner. He was like a heartthrob in that time.
Played
Like,
the Flash in
He played the
Smallville.
Flash in Smallville. He was the
Yeah.
Flash in Smallville, and then you have the lady who plays the Black Canary in Arrow, right? What's her
I'm
face?
so glad you mentioned that. It felt like a
Katie
CW
Cassidy.
movie.
Katie
Yeah,
Cassidy,
Katie Cassidy.
exactly. And then you have that guy who was in Twilight and then he played Hercules, the guy who gets killed first.
Kellen
Kieran
Lutz.
Luntz?
Kellen
Kellen
Lutz.
Lutz, yeah.
Kellen Lutz. And you have all those people that you're like, what? And then it's just like it's the most like millennial way of approaching these films, which is like, let's make it overly serious. So strip all the joy and the like fun. Because ultimately what's best about overall, except for the sixth one and the seventh one, I guess, even though the seventh one's good, is the best thing about Freddy is like they're high school movies. They're about kids in high school and the love story and how this affects your school relations. And in this one, they take out all the joy of the high school part and make it like heavy metal, depressing high school, drama, and it's horrible to watch.
The thing about the reboot, I think, is it's literally the most mid-tier film of all time. If you see the original movie, this is just a shittier version of it. I mean, the thing I think they got right were the mannerisms of Freddy Krueger. I actually don't think really too much of Freddy Krueger was like done quote unquote wrong or poorly in this case, other than like changing him to a child molester just seems like such a weird thing to do. I mean, he was already creepy enough, and like it's not even creepy to the point of where you're freaked out because he's scary, of just like, oh man, that's just that it's just fucking weird, and it leads you down these different paths. Like the two endings are completely different. And the first movie is she creates a Home Alone style trap for Freddy in her house, and then in the reboot, all they do is just go to where they got raped, and it's just boring little fucking 4x4 room. They throw a few punches, and then Freddy dies. So it's literally just that's how I say it. I just think it's the most mid tier, and it's just a shittier exterior version of that original. But you said that was your last pick, right? Number 9 for you, Loretto?
Yeah, that was my number 9.
Okay. Let's go down to number 8. I think I'm curious to know what your next one is, Gabe. But I chose number 4, the Dream Masters. I confused Dream Masters and Dream Child. Dream Child's 5.
That's 5.
But yeah, Dream Masters
and Dream Warriors is 3.
3, yeah.
So in case you need to make it more confusing.
I only remember Dream Warriors as 3 because I actually like that film. That's it though. Because 4 is just as bad. It literally takes everything I love from the third film and rips it away within the first 20 minutes. It kills the 3 or 4 returning cast members. Actually, no, 3 returning cast members, and then David Arquette's sister just decided not to return for this one. So you have a completely new actress in a role, completely feeling disconnected and dissociated from the third one, especially after you kill off all the original 3 from the third movie. Especially after killing off Nancy Thompson in that third film. It's a weird step up from the third movie. And then halfway through, we're introduced to this whole new cast that we're supposed to care about. And then they start getting killed off one by one. But I will tell you, they do give you, I don't want to say memorable, but at least a likable love interest that you kind of root for, that you want to see go. At least he gets through this movie, and that's Dan. I do like the relationship that Dan has with what's the main girl? Alice. That's right. Dan and Alice, I like their relationship, but I think Alice is much better with Dan than she is by herself. And that's something that I do appreciate with this film. But overall, I don't find it very memorable. I'm still fucking struggling right now what to do, because the only wacky thing in that movie that I found memorable was Alice's boyfriend's death in the movie, where he becomes like a karate ninja or whatever, and it's just so weird. Like they're trying to do something specific to that character, and it just falls flat on its face. But that's my number 8 pick. What about you, Gabe? What's your number 8 spot?
I think I kind of disagree with you. I actually kind of like 4. I like 4. Except for the recast that you mentioned, that really takes you out, because I think Patricia Arquette, she shows like
she did really good.
Yeah, she shows a bit shows a bit of what made her become an Academy Award winning actress, 30 years later. But for me, one that I never liked, but I was so annoyed by upon rewatch, was Freddy versus Jason. I think it's incredibly stupid. They went with a jokey Freddy Krueger from Part 6 and just like expanded him here. And they just like made him monologue so many times to give you the exposition you need. So it's just like monologues and monologues and monologues. It's like, I'm not strong enough yet, but I will get Jason and Jason will do it. It's like, what the fuck? Like he does it like 4 times. And then you have this like weird melodrama about this girl's father who killed the mom, but it wasn't the mom, it was Freddy. But the dad still doesn't tell her that it was Freddy, even though she's going through the Freddy dream experience, I guess, because of the fear that she's going to be afraid of him. I don't know. It's just like mixed up, confusing. The fight scenes are not fun. The kills, okay, one really important thing, the best slasher films have the best kills. Like they got to be creative when you like, destroy somebody, like whatever. Like when you have a really creative kill, that's when these movies are the most fun, right? The kills in Freddy versus Jason, except for that guy that they cut in half in a hallway, are just like Freddy just goes and then he's done. And Jason is known for the creative kills. Like I don't know if you guys seen Jason X, but however bad it is, the kills in Jason X are fantastic. Sorry, Lo.
The cryo freeze kill.
The cryo
I gotta
freeze.
say, because our ranks are completely different already, and I'm gonna talk about Freddy versus Jason later, but. The bed kill, bro, that was awesome.
Yeah, the fucking fold
work
belt
on that when he folded the bed with the guy in it,
dude,
that was awesome.
That was so cool. I think the thing that ruins it is the god awful editing in the movie. I think that's the thing that ruins it, but it's a cool scene nonetheless, I feel like.
Also, that movie packed with CW all-stars.
I
like
know.
Everyone is like CW. Everyone had been in Smallville. Like to me, they were like, oh, this guy wasn't that episode of Smallville, and then they get murdered, and it's like, okay.
I mean,
I think they shot it in Canada, right? I think they shot it in Vancouver, and those are all Canadian actors. Same as Smallville.
I thought it was funny when the best friend chick was like talking shit to Freddy. He was so amused. He's like, look behind you, and fucking Jason just bit slaps her into a tree at like fucking 50 miles an hour. And she just hits the tree like a fucking rag doll, bro. Oh my God. But so that's your number 8 pick, Freddy versus Jason. What about you, Loretto? What is your 8th nightmare film?
So in terms of like the actual canon of Freddy, I agree with you guys. Freddy's Dead was such a disappointing, anticlimactic final nightmare for a such an iconic villain. No offense to Rachel Talalay, she's been a part of the franchise since the beginning. She's always been in the producer role, and she got a chance to direct. And here's my problem: she had some really cool ideas. Like I liked exploring Freddy's backstory, seeing his abusive childhood, whatever. Alice Cooper is his dad, which was kind of weird, but interesting casting choice, I guess, because he's popular. I actually really liked John Doe's kill. I know you guys didn't care for the video game one, and I agree that was cartoony, but John Doe's kill was actually really cool when he kept waking up and he thought he was awake, but then he wasn't, and then like he fell out of the sky, and then Freddy put like a bed of spikes, and then he landed in the spikes. Like I liked that whole sequence. I thought that played off really well, especially in terms of the franchise as a whole, as being creative fantasy wise and not knowing if you were in a dream or not. I thought that was really well done. But ultimately, like everything you guys said, the characters are really bad. Why the hell does Freddy have a daughter? Why have we never heard of her? Let's just, it's like, everything felt shoehorned in. And I knew this movie was gonna be bad the second that it started, because when it started, it was edited really cool. I liked that shot in the plane. It looked all like surreal. And then when we get into John Doe's dream sequence, apparently he's the only teenager left in Springwood, right? Which was an interesting premise, so to say. But when we get to his dream sequence and freaking Freddy flies in on a broom and says, "I'll get you, my pretty, and your little soul too," I was like, no. They turned Freddy into the Wicked Witch, and I hate it so much. I almost walked out. I was like, this movie's stupid. Like, I don't like comic of Freddy. I think he has great punchlines, and I think it's menacing at times, but that's the one part of Freddy that I hate, that the late 80s, early 90s just evolved him into this jokester, and it's very frustrating because I couldn't finish the first film as a child. I was so scared of him, and then he started making jokes, and I hated it. So my number 8 is Freddy's Dead. an interesting premise, but just poorly executed. And also, shouts out to Yaphet Kotto, man. He was the doc. Yaphet
Oh
Kotto's
yeah,
awesome.
we
He's
needed more
wasted in that
Doc.
movie, man.
He's wasted, so wasted.
Yaphet Kotto's awesome. I don't know if you saw that James Bond film. You know what I'm talking about, Gabe. Was that The Living Daylights? No.
I think it's Timothy Dalton. I'm not sure it's Living Daylights, but yeah.
But yeah, Yaphet Kotto's awesome though.
You know what
Let's
sucks
look it
about
up.
Freddy's Dead 2 is they put in this plot line of them not being able to leave this town, and then they just able to leave it whenever the plot tells them they can. It's just like, you guys have to stay here for another 40 minutes to make this a theatrical runtime. Until then, you can't leave. And I'm sitting there, I'm laughing hysterically because I found it fucking hilarious. But
hey, real quick, sorry,
Yeah.
but can we talk about how freaking awkward it is to watch a film where she puts on 3D glasses to protect herself?
Oh my god, dude. I totally fucking forgot about that.
How you doing, man?
That's fucking insane. But yeah, now we're going on to our number 7 pick. I don't know how you guys feel about this. I know me and Gabe spoke about this in the group chat a little bit before, but my number 7th pick is Nightmare 2. I think this is one of the weirdest fucking sequels of all time. I don't get what they were trying to do, but I also get what they were trying to do at the same time. So many gay undertones within this movie that seemed very awkward and panned in for whatever reason. And I know during the filming, the actor who played Jesse was actually closeted at the time. So he was like super uncomfortable filming all of these. And what was this in 1985, 6 maybe?
Around.
Around that era. And I'm just like, I get why they didn't do it, but I still think they should have done it and just gone with the gay lover subplot, but instead they just shoehorned this stereotypical heterosexual relationship within the movie that I feel like if they developed throughout the entire movie, I would have felt much better, but they really didn't. They stuck for this first half of it kind of being like a melodramatic gay porn. Like it felt super weird. Like there's this whole scene with his coach in the bathroom getting his ass whipped, bro. Like how much more would you just want to just tell me what you're trying to tell me and not showing me? Oh, dude, it's just fucking insane. I like the Jesse character, but they just make him super neurotic. They get away from the dream stuff too. Freddy tries to emerge out of him and take over the physical presence. It just goes against what everything the first film set up, but it still takes place after the second film, which they make very aware of. It's fucking confusing. But what about you, Gabe? What is your number 7 pick?
I have many thoughts on Freddy's Revenge, so I'll get to that when I rank it. Right now, 7. I'm gonna go with the remake, and we already talked about the reasons why it's just joyless and completely it's really in the same tone as Rob Zombie's Halloween and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake and all those like early 2000s remakes try to do the same thing, just like strip all the charm out of the originals and just make them edgy and disgusting to look at. Horrible cinematography, like trying to they kind of like hint at you that they're going to do the same thing they did before but don't really do it. I didn't hate it. I don't think I hated the remake. I don't want to rewatch it though. And it's what's really funny besides the CW guys, because who you would expect to be in this movie. It's interesting to see Academy Award nominated Rooney Mara like in this movie. It's like when you see Kevin Bacon on the first Friday the 13th, or when you see Johnny Depp on the first Nightmare. It's just a funny thing that you see, and that's fine. But I don't hate it. I just don't like it.
No, totally get it. And I'll get a little bit more into my opinions relatively soon about that movie. But what about you, Loretto? What is your number 7 pick?
So this is actually really funny. I had a pre-ranking before I kind of like refamiliarized myself because I haven't rewatched all this in a while. I've seen all of them, but it's been a while. So I was kind of like refamiliarizing myself the last couple nights. And I actually switched one. So I actually agreed with you originally, Rye. When I first saw Freddy's Revenge, I hated it. I hated Freddy's Revenge. It was so weird, but I'll talk about it in a moment. I actually moved it past the one I'm going to talk about now. My number 7 out of 9 is The Dream Child.
Okay.
And I hate to
Wow.
say it because Stephen Hopkins is not a bad director. He went on to do like Predator 2, which is awesome. I think he did The Ghost in the Darkness, I believe.
He did
With
many
Michael
episodes
Douglas
of
and Val
24.
Kilmer.
Yeah, and he did many episodes of 24, the show.
Yeah, so
He was good.
he's a
Yeah.
very competent director.
Right.
And I liked what he did initially, and that's my problem with The Dream Child. So when it starts off really well. I really like Alice's dream sequence when she's almost drowning in the shower. That was a really like claustrophobic, creepy way to be trapped. And then she floods out she turns into Amanda Kruger and she's in the nun outfit and she's surrounded by the 100 maniacs that supposedly rape her and give birth to Freddy. And I think that concept is really fucked up, but it's also really chilling. And the way that it's shot is so like, it's the dream state that he puts you in, the way it's filmed and the color grading is really, really well done. But then after that dream sequence, I don't like her friends. I don't like the comic guy. I don't like the supermodel chick, and their two deaths in particular. If we're gonna talk about creative deaths, it's interesting, but it wasn't scary. Like I didn't care about Freddy feeding her and her face like got all fat and exploded, and then the comic guy he cut into pieces of paper. I have gripes with those parts, but ultimately Dream Child was just up until you get to the end when I thought it was kind of cool seeing the baby kind of take control and all that. Like I think there was interesting ideas, especially exploring Amanda Kruger, her backstory, but it just fell flat for me, especially compared to Dream Master and Dream Child. Dream Warriors, which I prefer. 5, that's when everything started to go downhill, in my opinion. Really cool visuals, but the scariness and the casting was just really poor, in my opinion, for that film. So,
What, you didn't like baby Freddy?
he was cool. I like Jacob.
Dude,
Jacob was cool, but
Can we
I didn't
talk
like her
about
friends.
the child is played by the same kid who played the kid in Jurassic Park in the beginning?
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
freaked
the
out
chicken
by
kid.
Dr. Ground.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
that
chicken
was
kid. That's
awesome.
him.
I was like, holy shit, this kid was an actor like before, know.
Yeah, but so that was your number 7 pick, right? You got Dream Child for your number 7 spot on your list, Loretto. Now, this is where I get into it. Now we are on my number 6 pick, our number 6 pick, and that's the reboot for me. Like I said before, this is the most mid-tier film. It's the exact same as the first, with the exception of the ending and making Freddy a rapist, a child rapist instead of a child murderer. I like that guy, Jack Earl Haley. That's probably the best, I want to say, Freddy Krueger that we'll get that's not uh, Robert Englund, in my opinion. So I think he did great for what he had or what he could do. I didn't really like the makeup for him or the CG makeup. I thought it looked really weird. I think they tried to go with this overburn look to a point where it wasn't disgusting like Freddy Krueger usually does. I think the set designs are unoriginal and really boring. And if you really think about it, the set design doesn't make sense for this film either, because the whole thing is he takes the kids to the factory and kills them. But in this movie, he takes them to the underground of the elementary school to rape them. So why are they being haunted in a factory other than because the original did it? You know,
Well, they killed him
just,
in a factory.
yeah, but it doesn't have that significance that the first one did, where he brought them in. He just ran into a factory. Right? I guess that's what they try to get at. I feel like that's what they try to get at, Gabe, with what you're saying. But yeah, the first movie just worse. That's literally how I see it. Mid tier, it's fine for what it is. It's a product of its era, and my next pick will be the same exact thing. But what about you, Gabe? What is your number 6 pick, my man?
Hey, really quick, because we're gonna move away from the remake, but the one thing that I did enjoy about it was I liked seeing Freddy get chased down by the parents. Like seeing him running and then seeing them burn him. That was actually pretty cool. And the way that Jackie Earl Haley played it was pretty good, well done. So
he's such a great actor, but he's like tiny, right? Like he's a little man.
He's
It's
not
the same when he
menacing.
plays.
He's not
He's not
menacing. That's the
menacing
problem.
physically, but then you hear him. It's
Yeah.
the same when he played Rorschach. That's why I think he was perfectly cast as Rorschach, because he's tiny, but then you hear him talk, and Zack Snyder makes him look so cool, and the sound effects when he punches somebody, it works. But he's just a teeny tiny man. It's kind of funny to see,
And
in that
also
scene.
his Freddy in this movie, he has got the quips of Robert Englund's Freddy, but he doesn't do the physical gags. Like, he doesn't stretch his arms out. He doesn't fuck with them really. I mean,
Because that's too fantastical, and it's got to be edgy and cool. That's the
I mean,
mindset
he
of
does
these
it with
remakes.
Jesse, but he just disappears and then comes in the back and stabs him through the heart with the amazing 3D effect at the time. But you know what? That is what it is. But Gabe, what about you? What is your number 6 pick, my man?
I'm going with Freddy's Revenge. I've never seen it until like a couple of weeks ago. I found it to be incredibly interesting because it just, not as a movie, because as a movie there's not really much to it. Like, it just breaks like every rule in the, like, how he's able to move into the real world, and it feels odd. And then they have that scene with a bird, which is kind of like goofy and awkward. But just because I had read about the gay subtext, which has been like debated whether it was intentional or unintentional, I found myself just really intrigued by the movie, trying to figure out what was happening. But why does that guy die by spanking? Like,
so
this movie has
weird.
death by spanking, which I found to be a really great death, because I was like,
As
yeah.
he was like wrapped up by his ankles and his wrist too, like an overly sexual way.
Yeah.
Like, they could have chosen anywhere on the arm, but they chose the wrist and the ankles. It's like how much more in her face do you want to be?
It's so weird. And then Jesse gets all turned, I mean, spoilers, I guess, but Jesse gets all turned on with the girlfriend, and they're about to have sex, and then he's like, nope, I'm going with the other guy that I work out with. To ask him to watch me sleep. And then he's dead, so he goes back to her. It's just like, it's hard to believe something like this would be unintentional, but at the same time, back in the 80s, people would not do this,
Yeah.
it's just weird, but it's really interesting to see. um just to see it unfold, like, because there's a scene, he goes on in his sleep, he wakes up in a gay bar, and he bumps into the teacher.
Yeah.
And then the teacher is played by that guy who was in all those Paul Verhoeven movies, right? He was Kato in Total Recall, and he was in Starship Troopers, and he was like all over Paul Verhoeven's filmography. And then he's just like, is he a gay teacher, or he's just a guy into S&M? I don't think it's ever
No
clarified.
context after that.
No
he just
context after
appeared,
that.
bro. He
Yeah.
just appears in a gay bar. That's it.
Right. But besides all those things, I feel like if I didn't know to look for the gay subtext, I don't know if I would have caught it. I would have just thought it was weird. And I would have been bored, because it's not a well-paced movie.
I mean, definitely at the
drags.
time, I don't think a lot of people really understood the gay sub context of this all. I think this is much more 2000 on type of realization that who knows like really what the intention was on the filmmaker side. Regardless, like, he might have done it intentionally, and if he did, was it because of malicious intent, or was it because he was trying to tell a story that he wasn't allowed to tell, and this was his way of getting it out? You know what I mean? There's like so many of those little different things that I feel like that you can get out of this movie that, yet again, Gabe's really keeps us interested. And I think that's why I didn't make it my bottom 2, because without all that interesting, I feel like backlog. And I think the kill of him, not kill, but Freddy emerging out of Jesse's body in the wall is a super cool effect, in my opinion. I'm like, oh, dude, that's really sick, regardless of the scene of him coming back up and slaughtering everyone at the pool party while the parents just assume kids are being kids while their window is just sitting right there. But who really knows?
That scene is so awkward in the pool. Like he's just like, "Ooh, I got like a couple of knives," and then 10 kids are just like, "Ooh," like nobody's like throws a chair at him or something.
It's
Like
because they completely abandoned the nightmare storyline for some reason in this movie.
Yeah.
They're like, now he can just kind of emerge out of a physical being, and like they keep the nightmare stuff, but it doesn't really have an impact. And I think that's my problem with the series as a whole. The nightmare aspect really just loses it because each film progressively forgets like the rules of the nightmare, of if you get damaged in the nightmare, you get damaged in real life, because there's people that get like limbs torn off in the dreams, but then they just wake up sweating. Well, in the first movie, Nancy used that to get her out of the dream. She harmed her. Like, it's those little things that really started to drive me off. Like, this is the easy stuff that you guys should really pay attention to. And it just kind of shocked me how far away they went with it in only the second movie, especially when it's called Freddy's Revenge for no reason too.
For no reason. And it's almost like they don't acknowledge that movie for the rest, because like Jesse doesn't come back. Nobody from the second one
I
comes
think there's
back.
like one mention of it in like 5 or 6, but that's it.
Really? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
when
barely.
he's doing like a whole monologue of all the kids he's killed or whatever. But Loretto, what about you? What's your number 6 pick, my man?
This is like the one time that I think it's actually coinciding for once. My number 6, like I said, I actually moved it up. It was Freddy's Revenge. I used to hate it. I used to think it was god awful. But here's my problem. I have no issue with the gay subtext. I think that it's a very important thing. But my issue with it is that the way that it's played off is it's like the evil in him is the gayness. And I think that's such a weird thing to portray. I don't think that was the intent, but that's how it comes off, because if he loves this guy and then Freddy comes out and kills him, like, what does that mean? Is that toxic masculinity that Freddy's representing? I don't know. I think that part of it was, if there's intent there, I don't think it was clear enough to be interpreted positively. I think it could be seen as a negative, but all of the subtext aside, just as a film, I like Freddy's Revenge a little bit better than Dream Child, because the first 10 to 15 minutes and the final 10 to 15 minutes feels like a nightmare movie. It feels really great. And actually, to an extent, the third act, when he actually comes out to the party and says, "You're my children now," and slashes them up, and the pool is boiling water because he has powers in the real world all of a sudden, right, guys?
And he just like drags the pits of hell out of nowhere too.
And the dogs have faces, guys. I don't know why the dogs have faces, but the dogs have faces when Lisa comes looking for what's his name? What's his freaking name? Jesse?
Jesse, yeah.
I was just watching it. Anyways, so the thing I like about Freddy's Revenge is that the first 15-20 minutes, he's actually scary, though. I really liked the initial mystery of, Jesse doesn't know what's happening yet. And he sees Freddy working in, like, throwing something in the fire. He looks in the basement. He doesn't want to go in the basement. The basement door starts closing on its own. And then Freddy's in his face like, "Oh, I want your body," right? And it's like, okay, that's weird. But he was still scary. He wasn't cracking jokes. I appreciated the tension there. I also liked the bus sequence in the intro. That was a really imaginative, fantastical thing that I think the franchise is at its best when it's fantastical and goes into the crazy dream sequences and has amazing special effects, which also leads me to, you actually mentioned this already, Rai, but the practical effect work when Freddy comes out of his body is excellent for 1985, really cool. Man. Even to this day,
even not right now, yeah,
it looks pretty good. And when you see the claws coming out of his fingers, like, that's body horror to its finest, and it still makes me feel uneasy. And I think that element is really strong. So just those things together, and also, in my opinion, I know you felt like you didn't like the love story thing. I don't think they had enough time together, but I do think Lisa and Jesse had good chemistry. He was an awkward kid. She caught him dancing around with a wooden thing, and then she helped him clean his room, which was kind of cute. But like, also, like, this guy is really goofy, and it's like, it plays into that: is he gay? Is he not? Maybe he's bi, whatever. But I think the concept of whatever they were trying to make him, I think was interesting. I think he was a very relatable underdog, and I like the characterization in that one. So that's my number 6.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I like the friendship, or I don't know if it's friendship, um, undertone relationship. I don't know what to consider between Jesse and the jock dude that
Grady.
Grady. Yeah.
He's like a cool kid, right? He's like always
Yeah,
all
the
buff
cool.
and shit.
I thought they had a cool friendship, and
Yeah.
I was hoping they'd at least go down that path and just
Yeah.
explore their friendship if they weren't going to go with a love interest. But it was the mid '80s, and I feel like having the love interest was like the main thing. It still kind of is, but we're finally starting to get away from that. And I wish they had a good opportunity to do that here.
And really quick, last thought. What really ruins that movie for me, though, it's not even so much like because the middle section of the film, like Gabe said, it doesn't feel like a Freddy film with the gaze, the spanking, and then the bird. Like the bird, what the fuck was the bird? Like I was like, what is this movie? Like, but what really ruined the movie for me, and besides that, is the ending. It was just that just felt really clunky. The I love you. Come back to me. Come out of Freddy. Come to me. And then she like kisses Freddy knowing that he's in there. And I think the intent was good, but their relationship wasn't strong enough to earn that. I love you. Come out. Oh yeah, you're free now. And we're happily ever after. Like that was kind of rough, but I liked what they were trying to do.
Especially because the person he liked was the friend who's dead.
Yeah.
Like whether gay, bisexual, there was some sort of sexual thing going on with the
between him
friend.
and Grady, right?
Yeah,
definitely between him and Grady. So yeah, let's just move on to number 5. I know this one's a little bit higher than both of you guys. Actually, no, Loretto, you might have it at the same spot because I realized you didn't say it yet. But my number 5 pick is Freddy versus Jason. Gabe, I totally agree 100% with everything you said with Freddy versus Jason. Honestly, but this is just one of those so bad that it's good films because this is such a product of its time and era that you go back to it like I just did like a few days ago for the first time in like 5 years, and you're looking at this and you're like, bro, I am literally sitting here right now watching Freddy Krueger smoke hookah as a caterpillar. Like, come on. It's so just fucking out there and insane. And then he jumps down the guy's throat. Like I said, Jason fucking bit smacks the friend into the tree at 50 miles an hour, chops the body in half when he's taken over. And the funny thing is I think they had a good storyline for this. They had a good concept of Freddy using Jason to get kids to be scared on Elm Street again. I thought it's a good concept. It wasn't executed well whatsoever, but I think the one thing that they did right that they needed to get right was the final battle between Freddy versus Jason. It's such an over the top and unique and fun fight that I just love every second of it. I mean, as soon as they go at each other in the fucking cabin when they pull him out of the dream and Jason just takes him and starts going through the windows like, bro, they're not stopping here. Freddy starts playing pinball with Jason in like the construction factory. It's just so batshit crazy that I want them to have another go at it. If not, have those two in a Michael Myers crossover film. I feel like that's something we all want at this day, but it's never going to come. But yeah, those are just my general opinions. But I definitely agree with you, Gabe. It's a fucking horrible movie otherwise. But what about you, Gabe? What is your number 5 pick, my man?
I'm going with the Dream Child, and I have to say, like the rest of these, I like them all. So this is like I don't have that many negatives with the Dream Child. I agree with you, Lo. The supporting characters are not very good, but I think that since they all get killed, spoiler alert, but Alice and the boyfriend are pretty good supporting the movie, that I had a fun, and I also appreciated the like the ending, when they're in the dream and there's like staircases that go, like upside down.
What's that movie with David Bowie? Fuck. Why can't I remember the world?
Labyrinth.
It's like Labyrinth.
Inception. Yeah, I feel like
it definitely had that vibe for sure.
Right, and I like that. I love the idea of her being pregnant and the baby's dreams being, how Freddy comes back. I feel like up until 5, all the movies were consistent. Well, except for 2, but like 1, 3, 4, 5 were pretty consistent on like the rules ish. at least they were trying.
Or how Freddy can like come back at least.
Right. You need
they
one of
explain it.
the Elm Street kids to come back. Freddy needs to keep killing, but he needs Alice. And at one point, I was like, "Why doesn't just Alice kill herself before she lets all her friends die?" Right. I mean, that just would have been easier.
Just make the ultimate sacrifice.
Right. I mean, because Freddy can't come back with an Elm Street child. So I like that. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's as good as the rest, but I think it's a good movie, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the actress who played Alice. I think she was very good.
I think she was much better in Dream Child than she was in Dream Masters. Or wait, no,
Dream Child is the fifth one. Yeah, well, in Dream Master, she kind of shares the spotlight with.
That's the problem. You don't get enough.
Patricia Arquette, yes.
Yeah, because they're just trying to transfer like the main actress role within that movie. Because the Patricia Arquette role just dies like 40 minutes in, and then it goes to the Alice character, and it felt so abrupt in that movie. But now I feel like she's much more cemented in that role, which. Yeah. You can see in the movie. I'll touch on that a little bit more in a little bit. But what about you, Loretto? What is your number 5 pick, my man?
Hell yeah. Hey, we're getting into sync, guys.
That'll be like, you ain't getting breakfast in the morning, motherfucker.
All right, sorry, guys.
No, good.
So yeah, number 5, I agree with you, Ryan. It's not a good film. I will say this, it's not a good film, but personally, I had so much fun with Freddy vs. Jason. I grew up at a time when in high school, I finally built up enough courage to even freaking watch these kinds of movies, and it just strung a chord with me. The new metal soundtrack and like the stoner in the van and like, yeah, let's get high and stuff. And, I already mentioned the Freddy hookah caterpillar, but besides all the 2000s junk, I mean, Kelly Rowland's in this movie. Why?
Yeah, right.
Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child. Like, not even Beyonce. Kelly Rowland. Like,
yes. Like, we can't get Beyonce. We can get the other one. Like, okay, great.
But all that aside, Gabe, I actually agree with your analysis, Gabe. The base storyline is probably the perfect way to bring these two together. Using the fear of Jason to inspire the kids of Elm Street to get scared again. I think that was a good thing. I hated his monologue in the beginning. It was very whiny. It was like, they're not scared anymore. I was like, oh, fuck, this is going to be bad. But we get past that, right, guys? We get past that. I actually liked some of the dream sequences and some of the kills in Freddy vs. Jason. Especially, I liked the bed kill. I also liked how that one kid who had the brother that killed himself. That was a really good sequence in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he was like, somebody please wake me up. And then they find the message on his back, like, oh, Freddy's back or whatever. And his brother in the tub. And it was really creepy. I thought that out of the whole film, I think that was Freddy done right. That was a very creepy sequence with the score and the way the kid was acting and all that. And I gotta agree with you, Ryan. It was a little bit WWE. It was a little bit like Tom and Jerry, but seeing Freddy and Jason slice each other up because they just beat the shit out of each other. I mean, like, Freddy launched like a gas tank, and then and Jason's flying through the air, and then I think Freddy gets his arm chopped off.
Yeah.
Like, they're literally just chopping each other up, and it's like, as horror fans, what more could you ask for? These are two titans just slicing and dicing, doing what they're supposed to do.
I also like the main chick's final line to Freddy. Welcome to my world, bitch! It just slices his head off. It's great.
Hell yeah. And ultimately, when we get to the end, I did like the ambiguity because I feel like that played into the series, both series, really well. I loved seeing Jason come out of the water with Freddy's head. And then he looks right at us,
winks.
Wink, wink, and it's just like, this is great. Like, as a fan of both franchises, I like Nightmare way more than Friday the 13th, but they're both fun. I had so much fun with Freddy vs. Jason. That's why it sits up a lot higher than some of the other films. So that's my number 5.
No, definitely agree with you, Loretto. But now let's get into our number 4 pick, almost top 3. For my number 4, I surprisingly have Dream Child. I wasn't expecting to like this as much as I did because of how low 4 is for me. I didn't like anything they did with 4, and I didn't like the Alice character. but they really implement the Dan and Alice relationship in Dream Child much more. And I think Dan has one of the coolest kills in the series still, where the motorcycle is just like overtaking his entire body and he turns into like a metaphysical fucking transformer. But they also did the same thing, and that was the thing I didn't like at this point, is they kept doing the same thing, is where they killed the original characters from the last movie within the first 30 minutes and then kind of start completely fresh with an entire new cast. And they did it again in this movie, and I think that's like one of my biggest downfalls. But yet again, I like the whole idea of having a child, a teen pregnancy, and having the dreams of that child to be the reason that Freddy's coming back. And I think a lot of people give the dream child himself, the child, like a little too much shit, because I thought Freddy Child was kind of fucking freaky. And when he was trying to shit talk with Freddy, I'm like, I don't want to fuck with that kid. I thought it was great. I like the labyrinth feel too, like we were saying before. And yeah, I just really do like this film. I'm curious to see how I feel when I revisit it in a few years, whenever that may be. But that's my number 4 pick. What about you, Gabe? What is your number 4 pick?
Number 4, and again, I'm clarifying that I like the rest of these, but I'm going with New Nightmare. I like it the most because of how creative it is. It's just like Wes Craven being like, yeah, I have this idea, I'm just going to do that. Right. And it's just like, he turned Freddy into this like ancient force of nature boogeyman thing. Right. And just like went beyond the movies, brought back Heather Langenkamp, who was great in every single Freddy movie she was in. And made Freddy way more menacing. Like they changed the look. He doesn't look, because at that point I feel like Freddy had become a bit of a cliche, like it is now. So they were like, well, we're gonna change the look, but he still looks like Freddy, and I think they did well. That being said, I don't think it's a perfect movie, because I think for the first half it's just like a little scare for the child, and then Heather being like, oh, my child. And then little scare for the child, Heather being, oh, my child. And then it just goes on and on. But for the last like 40 minutes, like a bit before the beginning of the third act, it just goes completely insane. And the kills are great. And like her arc, becoming Nancy again, all those things like are really good. So I like New Nightmare. I don't like it as much as most people do, though.
No, yeah, I totally get and agree where you're coming from that standpoint. More, in my opinion, soon. What about you, Loretto? What is your number 4 pick, my man?
All right, we're getting to the nitty gritty here. I actually like these 4 films a lot, and I know you guys don't like it as much as I do, but my number 4 is Dream Master. I just love the concept. I didn't appreciate killing off the Dream Warriors so easily, but I did also like the fact that no one was safe. I thought that was a brave choice, especially, I think more so because Patricia Arquette didn't return. I think maybe they could have tweaked the story to be about her if she returned, but knowing that she didn't, we didn't care as much for Kristen's character, which was a good thing and a bad thing. But all that aside, Rennie Harlan, who went on to do like I think Cliffhanger and Deep Blue Sea and
Die Hard 2,
random 90s films. Rennie Harlan, I think for this picture, he came up with some cool stuff, and I think that's what sticks with me. I mentioned it earlier. I like when the Nightmare series is just crazy inventive with its fantasy, and like in this one, we see Freddy picking up like meatballs off of a pizza, but the meatballs are like the kids faces, screaming, yeah. And he's eating the meatballs, and then this chick that's terrified of bugs turns into a cockroach, which is one of the most disgusting and like just like cringy like kills. Her arms break off, and then she turns into like this really weird good cockroach, and it's just like, what is happening? Like, those elements are what I love about the franchise, and that's why I like Dream Master way more than Dream Child and Freddy's Dead and all that, just because it was really, really creative. I really liked that. But at the same time, I gotta say this. Anyone that knows the Friday franchise, this is the Jason Lives of the Nightmare franchise, because this is when Freddy goes fucking off the rails. He becomes funny.
Totally different character.
He comes to life from flaming dog piss, guys. The dog takes a piss and flames come out and Freddy's back. Like I can't explain it. But the
He's
fact
back.
that happened, it gave it this campy, fun feel, like it knew what it was becoming, and it was like, you know what, guys, we know you like Freddy. This is gonna be fucking stupid. Enjoy it. That's what it felt like, and I felt like everybody was on board. Also, shouts out to Joey's kill. I really like that kid. He was the deaf kid, or he's deaf, or he's mute.
Deaf.
He's deaf, right?
He's
or is
deaf. Yeah, he's deaf.
I remember he doesn't talk either, right?
Yeah, no. Wait.
Because I think in Dream Warriors,
no, he is mute. Sorry, I'm thinking about
mute.
I'm thinking
His
about the
power is
dude
his voice.
from the. I'm thinking about the other guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of Freddy's dead. My bad, guys.
Yeah, I was
But
thinking of Freddy's dead. My bad.
his kill was fucking crazy. He was in a water bed, and then
Yeah, that was cool.
Sexy nurse.
He's like, goddamn dog.
But yeah, the sexy nurse comes out of the water bed and kills him. I thought that kill was really cool. But anyways, I've gone on far too long. That's my number 4, guys.
Awesome. But yeah, let's just get right into our top 3. I think this one's going to be a little interesting. Who knows? We'll see. But my number 3 pick is New Nightmare. I really like the super meta context of this film. And I think that's the thing I really like about Scream. So if you like that about Scream, you're going to like that about this movie. And I like how the main antagonist technically isn't Freddy, but it's a form that it takes because it knows that it scares people. So it works on this whole idea of working on Hollywood with the main actors playing themselves in real life while having this devilish figure take the role of someone who haunted you in a movie. Like super meta contextual. I really enjoyed it. And I like that Wes Craven kind of did a spin on the really infamous kill from the original. And that's the, dragging around the room on the ceiling with the babysitter in the hospital. I thought he did that much cooler than what they tried to do in the remake, where they kind of made her into a pinball machine of just like dragging her around and then just getting slit. But like, I like this part because you actually see Freddy. This time in the original, you didn't see Freddy, which made it creepy, but this time you see him murder her and him upside down, dragging her along the wall, and he's just fucking with you, waving at you. I think it's really cool, super metatextual, and you know what? I'm gonna leave it there. Leave some more talking to be had. But what about you, Gabe? What's your number 3 pick, my man?
I think here, for many of the reasons that Lo just mentioned, I think the Dream Master is my number 3 pick. I liked it. I was very entertained. Like you said, Lo, they just like, I think it went crazy on like Dream Warriors like kind of like opened the door, like let's just do something stupid with this, but we can still keep it good. And I think the Dream Master just expanded on that, and they did some weird stuff. And they also had that twist where you think the movie's about Kristen when it's really about Alice, which is exactly what they did in the first one, right? You think the movie's about I can't remember the first
friend, yeah.
The girl, yeah. And then no, the movie's about Nancy. And then they had the like same thing in this one, that which I really enjoyed. I like the title of the movie is the character arc, right? You got to realize you're the Dream Master, so you can do it. Like I like this idea. I really liked the Dream Master. I was surprised how good it was 4 movies in. Like how good these movies still could be 4 movies in, which is usually an oddity, especially in horror.
No, yeah, definitely agree. What about you, Loretto? What's your number 3 pick, my man?
All right, we are getting to the nitty gritty. Jesus Christ.
You're good, Lo. No worries.
By the way, the only thing I don't like about the Dream Master was that kung fu kill. Like, who the fuck was he fighting?
It was Freddy? So weird.
Like he was, and then like you hear sound effects like, and he's like getting punched and kicked, and it's just like, what is happening? But anyways, I still like Dream Master though. It was cool that she got all her friends' powers. I forgot to mention that. That's a really cool aspect. But I actually agree with you, Rye. My number 3 is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. He made Freddy scary again. I mean, he's the OG. He's the creator. Wes Craven is the mastermind of Freddy Krueger, and he knew what makes Freddy Krueger scary. As a kid, I was terrified of Freddy. I told you guys this already, but I'll tell the story now. I didn't finish Nightmare on Elm Street when I was little because I was too scared. And then New Nightmare came out, and I was like, fuck that movie. Like, no. So it took me a long time. I didn't finish A Nightmare on Elm Street or New Nightmare until I was like 15, 14, whatever. And then around that time, Freddy vs. Jason came out. But anyways, long story short, New Nightmare was really creepy. I liked the meta concept that Rye mentioned already. I mean, it laid the groundwork for Scream to play into this like tongue-in-cheek, like, you know, we know it's a movie, but, you know, you're still watching a movie, and then it's kind of a fun concept. I also liked the idea that Wes Craven was writing the script as it was happening, and he was playing himself, and he was telling Nancy,
Yeah.
like, hey, some shit's going down. This guy is evil, but I can't stop writing this script, so just take care of yourself. Like, he didn't even, like, give her instructions on what to do. He was like, be careful. Like, so I thought it was really cool seeing John Saxon return, seeing Heather Langenkamp return from the original film, and it gave the film like some like needed like weight to it. Otherwise, it would have been like, if it wasn't Nancy, like we wouldn't give a shit, right? So also that final climatic battle, I kind of liked how it threw back to the original film, like her getting stuck in the stairs and a lot of like similar elements to the first one, but just done in a manner that was like more well done, so to say. Like the special effects are better. And to speak, you already spoke about it, Rye, but I think Tina's kill is probably the most frightening kill in the entire series. And to see it again, but to see it the way that it was done, I really liked the babysitter. I forgot her name. I can't remember for the life of me, but I really liked her character, and I think that's what made that kill so hard, because she was so always taking care of Nancy's son, and then, you know, seeing her getting dragged across the ceiling, and then like no one could do anything about it. That was really like devastating. Like not even on a scary level. It was just really sad for me because I like the character. So yeah, New Nightmare, man. It was a really well done film, and I also, god damn it, there's so many good moments in this film, but that moment when she's sliding through the sheets,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's just like visually so captivating. Like it's such a cool concept, and then like she's sliding, but then the sheets like it doesn't stop, and she's like sliding for like a mile, and you're like, oh shit, like she's in it now, you know. And I just thought that was really fun. The dream sequences were really inventive in this one. So
Yeah, they were all really cool in my personal opinion. But let's get down to our top two now. Man, I think this is where we're all going to start agreeing on everything unanimously. My number two spot is the original Nightmare on Elm Street. I know. Oh my God, please stop. No, the original, you can't touch it. But no, honestly, that's the one thing you mentioned, Gabe, that they did in Dream Masters that I didn't like in the first one too, is where they shift the narrative midway through to thankfully Heather Langenkamp was just likable enough for it to work as well as it did. I didn't think the girl who played Alice in Dream Masters and Dream Child had that capability, and I don't think the writing really helped her too much in that ability as well. But it was done much better in this. But this is the first movie. This is where Freddy becomes memorable. You remember seeing him his first time coming down the alley with his arms stretched out. You hear the first Freddy's coming for you, his theme song, super creepy and ominous. And then so many cool other scenes of Freddy coming out of the wall, or the latex wall that we now know. Super cool. Fucking the first, I don't remember her name, but the friend who we think is the final girl gets killed 40 minutes in her bed, and that creates a really infamous kill of her just being fucking tossed around the building, being dragged up along walls and ceilings. So many cool moments, and this really implemented Robert Englund as such a frightening character as Freddy Krueger. So that's why I put it in number two. What about you, Gabe? What is your number two pick, my man?
Yeah, I have to agree. I also have it in number two, and it's kind of hard to pick between one and three. I don't think I can find many flaws on either one. Um, I just picked it. I mean, I'll explain more why I like three more, but about one, one is great. Like it's just at the core of these movies are about high school kids. It's almost like, you know, that trope from the '80s that only the kids know what's going on and the grown-ups don't.
Yeah.
It's just like the kids having to deal with a horrible situation, you know, but the grown-ups are just like completely disconnected, right? And it's like the first season of Stranger Things does the same thing, and you know, it's like like all
Yeah.
those like '80s movies have like this trope of like the kids are the ones that need to figure this out, and you have kids So they combined this like horror story with a coming of age story. Like, yes, we need to deal with this on our own because grown-ups won't help. And then you have Johnny Depp having like a funny, first appearance in a film, a great death scene, the ones you describe. And I also want to talk about Johnny Depp because that death is so good with a like almost waterfall of blood. Such a cool death scene. The ending is good. It's kind of like it's goofy with the the car having Freddy's t-shirt on it, but it's still really funny. Like it's a great film. I wouldn't change a thing. But I will talk about why I picked Dream Warriors over it, like when we go to our number one.
Yeah, agreed. I got a lot of opinions on Dream Warriors. What about you, Loretto? What's your number 2, my man?
Can I just say how awesome it is that you guys have Dream Warriors as your number 1? I appreciate that. And also, shouts out to you guys because nobody fucking cared when I drafted it in the horror movie draft. But anyways.
I know. I did. Lo, I told you. That was a good pick. That was a great
pick. I felt like it was like crickets. Like, nobody cared. I was like, dude, do you guys not like me? Anyways, I digress. That's not important. What is important is here's my thing. I love Dream Warriors so much. It's so much fun, but that's my issue, and that's why I pick it as number 2. It's not so much that it's not a good movie. It's great, but it's just more fun than it is scary for me. But with that being said, don't hear what I'm not saying. The marionette kill to this day gives me the heebie-jeebies because frickin' Freddy opens up this guy's veins and freaking puppeteers him with his veins, and it's so like grotesque and just like hard to watch as he's walking and he's like and he's like getting pulled by the freaking veins on his body. It's just like, God, that is like such a horrifying way to get mutilated. And besides that, Dream Warriors just in general, why I like it so much is it just represents everything amazing about the franchise. The practical effects, like Freddy popping out of a TV. It's prime time, bitch. And I also liked the idea that the reason why the first film is so scary is you're helpless, right? And I like that, and I think that's why I like the first one more. It's scary as hell because if I was in my dream and Freddy was after me, I'm dead. He's gonna fucking kill me. I'm not gonna do shit. But I like the idea that the Dream Warriors could fight back. That Kincaid had super strength. Kirsten had like ninja gymnastic ability, whatever, and then Joey's voice was powerful, and then the freaking fantasy kid was a wizard, whatever. But he still fucking lost, which was stupid. Like, what is the point of your power if you're gonna lose? But anyways, I like the concept of being able to fight off this demon with your own abilities, and I thought that was a really interesting concept. Yeah, I love Dream Warriors. I love it so much, and shouts out to Dawkins for an incredible theme song. We're the Dream Warriors. That is my shit. No more sleep, no more.
I guess this is like any good time to just get into the number 1 picks for some of us because my number 1 pick and Gabe's number 1 pick are both Dream Warriors, I assume, right, Gabe? Obviously. Yeah. But dude, Dream Warriors, I will say, has the best cast and the best chemistry throughout the cast in any of the franchise, even the first one. And I think that's so simply why I put it higher than the first. I like all these characters. I like the way they all feast off each other, not feast like eating, but like the way they connect with one another, the way they play off each other. Kincaid is one of the most likable characters. You've got the mute kid. He very memorable as well. You've got Nancy coming back in this movie, which was so bizarre, and she dies at the end. Spoiler. I know we're very far in this to say spoiler, but who the fuck cares at this point? No, but dude, everyone had great chemistry. It's prime time, bitch. Like you said, the fucking puppetry, great. And I thought each of them having their own abilities was something nice within their character trait. Like Kincaid was this super strong character, just a strong personality. And I like how they worked the kid sleepwalking into the kind of doll making part where it gives them an explanation to why they would just blow it off instead of, oh, you're just a kid, you don't know what you're saying. And I like how they're the Elm Street kids in this, and they're all just thrown into a psychiatric ward. No one believes them, but that little circle of everyone knowing what's truly going on just feels you that much more emotionally attached to the characters. And I appreciate that they didn't kill them all within this movie. I'm not going to talk about how they killed him in the next movie, but they let him save for this, especially with Nancy dying at the end. And Patricia Arquette was a great lead, I thought. I thought she's definitely top 3, maybe 2, right behind Nancy Thompson. But what about you, Gabe? What do you think about the Dream Warrior? And what pick is it at for you?
Number 1, The Dream Warriors. I think, again, nothing against the first one. It's hard to do these rankings when you have 2 movies that you really like, right? But I think I completely agree with what you just said. I loved it, the ensemble cast. You didn't have Lawrence Fishburne in there, credited as Larry Fishburne.
He didn't do much. That's my one gripe. Lawrence Fishburne was there. he had a great presence, but other than that, he didn't do anything.
Well, you can see hints of what he would become because he has 10 lines probably,
Yeah.
But he just does them well. He's the likable guy, the guy who's on our side, but he doesn't really know what's going on. He's just you're just kids. I'm not going to torture you because you're just kids. And everybody in the hospital is just torturing them. And then Freddy tortures them in the sleep, right? So it's just the minor thing. And again, this thing that I was saying about the kids know what's going on, and the kids need to figure, I mean, the kids and Nancy and what's his face boyfriend, but whatever his name is. Also, it's just they got to figure this out. They got to realize that they can do it. And they're dream warriors. And that was great. The deaths, the kills, hashtag death by TV, because that death is to me the best in the franchise. Killing somebody with a TV is just so good. And then the lady who's killed with Freddy has syringes for fingers. And then he's turned on when he's killing her or something. That's just
he's weird. What a rush or whatever.
Yeah. And he does her face. It's just really good, and I just very entertaining. And I think I agree with what you said, Lo. It's not as scary as the first one. I wasn't scared by the first one either. I think I watched it when I was older, of course, than you. I think as a kid, probably, I would have been more scared. But it's just a great movie, and the ending is good. Wes Craven came back to write this, and you can tell, he has a way of doing things that just works. Directed by Chuck Russell, who then did a bunch of other movies, including he did the 3rd Resident Evil movie, which is not his best. And he did, but for example, he did The Scorpion King, which is just masterful camp. Right?
I love Scorpion King.
I know, it's so good. It's so good. It's so much fun. So I mean, it's a great movie. I like the kids having to take over. I like that concept in the 80s. I don't know if I would like it as much now, but in the 80s, the kids had to solve the situation was just perfect.
No, yeah, absolutely agree with you 100%, Gabe. And before we start wrapping it up, why don't you tell us what your number 1 pick is, Loretto?
Real quick, I just want to also speak to the Freddy worm that eats Kristen. The prosthetic work on that was crazy.
Dude,
it was
I know.
So the effects on those first 5 movies are just amazing.
Yeah,
they gave up with the last 2, or with at least Freddy's Revenge or Freddy's Dead. I mean,
Freddy's Dead, yeah, but
they gave up with
anyways.
That, right?
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys love Dream Warriors so much. I felt alone for a while. I was like, nobody likes this movie but me. Anyways, my number 1 is the original film, and you guys already touched on everything, so I won't go on too long about it. But I just want to say how effective this story was. Just the concept of, imagine, right, 1984. You don't know what the hell you're walking into. You don't know who Wes Craven is yet. Maybe you saw Last House on the Left. Maybe you didn't. But you walk into this movie, and this guy is in your dreams. You can't run from him. He's a freaking magical demon, and you can't hide from a demon. It's a scary concept, and I think I didn't care for the jail death with the sheet, but every other death on top of that is just iconic. And even when Nancy's daydreaming at school, I think that was also a really underrated kind of building the terror factor of seeing the body getting dragged across the hallway, and then the girl that's the hall monitors with the glove shh. shit.
Yeah.
And it's just subtle touches like that, and it kind of like this is like some creepy shit, you know. And I just love this film so much. It really truly scared the shit out of me. And also shouts out to the bathtub sequence, because I think Psycho shows you how vulnerable you are in the shower, but Nancy was just taking a bath, you know. She's just kicking back,
just comes on in,
and this freaking glove comes out of the water. It's like, oh shit. It's just really
remake, gloves. And then the remake just wrecked it, right? Like the remake just fucked it up.
I strategically didn't even talk about that, but
sorry.
You're gonna like blow the fuse off Loretto.
No, but anyways, and also there was some interesting subtext too. I don't want to go too long, but like between Nancy and her mom, because her mom had problems, and I thought that was interesting. Like knowing that our heroine had issues of her own, you know, like because her mom had issues. They were hiding the fact they killed this guy, and then she's like taking pills to like make herself sleep at night or whatever. And like it was just a really interesting dynamic overall. And the final scare at the end, you know, the mom waving by, and then she gets pulled through the door. It's just such a
with the inflatable body,
like, dummy or whatever.
Yeah, it's totally a mannequin.
But again, that's a part of the charm. That's what the remake the funny part have.
Is. Yeah. The reboot still fucked that up.
Yeah, the reboot fucked everything up.
It just still fucked that up too, bro.
But it's like it's a part of the charm, the silliness of the 80s. That's why I enjoy the 80s cinema so much.
But see, okay, Gabe, to that point, you can't recreate that charm.
No.
And when Freddy came through the mirror in 2010, I was like, fuck this movie. I walked out, I was pissed. I was like, fuck this movie. Like,
X for your money back.
But yeah, anyways, long story short though, I really love the first Nightmare on Elm Street film. I think it's an iconic film in horror history, not just film history, just horror history. It really broke ground, and R.I.P. Wes Craven, man. He was a GOAT. He was a legendary filmmaker.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely agree. And I just want to thank you guys so much for coming on today and talking a little spooky season with me and ranking the Nightmare franchise, because I've been looking to do a ranking video, but I didn't know what to do it on. It was spooky season. I'm like, you know what? I've not seen every Nightmare film, and I'm glad that like HBO Max had them all too. So you didn't have to go out, rent them. You could just sit home, watch them, and they're not long and hard watches. They're about 20, an hour and a half each, so they're super easy. Some of them are really fun. Some of them are just really bad, and some of them, like Dream Warriors and the OG, are fucking fantastic. And honestly, those two are like my recommended list for Halloween watches every single year. But before we wrap it up, guys, please plug where you go. Gabe, where can we find you, my man?
People can find me at filmopinionitis.com. I have my blog. I recently did my James Bond ranking, which I think people are taking me as the hot take guy. I really don't want to be the hot take guy. That's not my intent. It just I'm the guy.
So you know he's the hot take guy.
I don't want to be that. So I apologize if I come across that way. I just sometimes, I have the way I look at things, but I don't do hot takes just to see what the internet says about it. I just do it because I like it, right? And my list might have some of what you consider hot takes, but it is what it is. And same as this list that we just did. And then tomorrow I have a show at the Paint Line School Cinespection. And tomorrow we're starting off James Bond week. We're going to have at least 2, probably 3 shows this week, just talking about James Bond movies, old and No Time to Die. So I'm really, really looking forward to that, because John, my co-host, and I are just like really big James Bond fans. I think I've texted him like 30 times this weekend, hey, I just watched For Your Eyes Only. Do you remember this part? So that's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to check that out. If you like Bond, if you don't, check it out. So you might start liking it more when you see how much we start doing it.
This is also a man that doesn't like Venom Let There Be Carnage. That is the very true definition of cinema. That's all I need to say. So can we really listen to Gabriel here? No, we can't. I can't even say that with a straight face, my man. But Loretto, where can we find you, homie?
I'm your resident film nerd. You can find me on Twitter at Marcellus Durden. I'm always down to talk shop and shoot the shit. Also a proud co-host of Suit Up Geeks. We got a lot of fun stuff going on. We have our spooky horror Halloween draft on October 16th. It'll be live on our channel. Find us on YouTube at the Suit Up Geeks and on Twitter at the Suit Up Geeks. We also do a bunch of reviews. We should be finishing up What If and Visions this week, Wednesday, Thursday, I believe. Thursday, Friday, maybe. But keep an eye out for that. Other than that, Ryan, always a pleasure, brother, as one of our awesome co-hosts. So I told you guys I love Freddy, so I was so happy to like shoot the shit and just talk about why I love Freddy. It's such a great franchise, and Robert Englund, man, Robert Englund doesn't get enough credit.
Class act.
But he is a freaking awesome actor. I hate that he didn't do anything else. Like, I feel like he could have been an okay actor doing other things. Like,
missed opportunity. They did not have Freddy kill Robert Englund in New Nightmare.
We
That's
just
what they
need
should have
him.
had.
We just need him to be alive. That him, Jason, and Michael can at least go head to head because he needs to live to see that day. But I don't even know. I think he's too old for it at this point. He's like 80, I'm pretty sure. But you know what? Fuck it. De-age him. Pull it. But you know what, guys? Thank you so much for chilling with us for about an hour and a half talking about the Nightmare franchise. And guys, don't forget down below, comment what you think your ranking is. Don't forget to include the reboot and Freddy versus Jason. And you know what? Just because I want to be that guy, I'm going to include Freddy versus Jason on my Friday the 13th ranking too, because fuck everybody. Because it's a 50-50 movie, so you got to consider it halfway. But thank you guys so much. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.